You're watching Straight Black Love Talk with your host, DC Radical One, the home of intelligent, mature relationship conversations.
Greetings, family, friends, unfortunately, enemies. I am your host, DC Radical One, and this is SBL Talk. Hope everyone is doing well. As far as I know, you can check this out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Well, I try to find the right. Somehow that's not it, but yeah. How come I can never find this song? How's everybody doing tonight? While we try to find the right music. Tonight we're gonna have a very important discussion. So while I'm waiting for this music to load up, y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. We got a new member. Clap it up for Sydney G. And I'm not sure if Sydney G is actually a sister or brother. Sydney G, if you could let me know that, I greatly appreciate it. But anyway, clap it up, because that's always coming through loud and clear. All right, thank you, brother. That's always a positive. For some reason, this song doesn't want to load up. I don't know what's going on. I'm not gonna worry about it. Give people a few minutes to come in. So, in many ways, tonight's. Oh, my bad. I haven't actually greeted you all. Let's try. How about that? Well, that starting off on the wrong foot already. You said, you got ripped off. You said you hope everyone is warm. No, sir. No, sir. Not at all. Man, please. All right, so greetings to Deuce Rex, who said first they beat you got ripped off in here. Of course, shout out to brother, you got ripped off. Greetings to Summer Renaissance. I'm sure that's a sister. She got popcorn out, so that means she's trying to see what I'm about to say, so she can criticize it. I appreciate it. BB Toomey to Asafo. Greetings to brother Jimmy, and of course, greetings to Sydney G. If I missed anybody, y'all let me know. Brother, you got ripped off. Could you send a message to Sister Cindy, our wonderful producer? I did not send one to her. And hopefully, Sister Najee, hopefully she can tune in. I sent a message to her and some other sisters. I really want some sisters to check in here as well. While I try to I have my banner up. Okay. So let me start off with some announcements, and then I get into it. I really want this music to kick in. I don't know what's going on, but of course, this Sunday, the 12th, our brother Irritated Genie will be coming through. We'll have because it happens to be Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad's birthday, so we'll be having a discussion. His coming through is timely with Dr. Khaled's birthday, so that will be Sunday at 8 o'clock. In addition to that, he is also just put together an event he's going to be doing in Baltimore on the 25th, which would be 2 weeks from Saturday. I believe the time is 3 p.m. I'll let you all know the details when I get the flyer. So with that, let me say this. I'm gonna announce this now. That event will be live streamed. BB4, Straight Black Pride, Brother Elijah. That event will be live streamed. Oh, but yeah, by the way, Brother Elijah, I'll announce this again since you're in here, because you're in the area. Brother Jenny is doing an event on the 25th of January at Terra Cafe. Excuse me, and I believe the time will be at 3 p.m. That'll be $25 at the door. For those who are not in the area, you will be able to get the live stream. When I get the flyer, BB4, Sister Najee, when I get the flyer, I will set up the Eventbrite. Yeah, no, it's in the what's name, brother thing. I'll set up the Eventbrite, brother. Okay, thank you, brother. So the Eventbrite will, Eventbrite as Eventbrite fees. So here's the deal. What I need, and actually, if I had known about this beforehand, I would actually have taken care of this because of previous. What I am going to need is for 3 or 4 people by Sunday to who want to purchase the live stream, to purchase your tickets straight from me before the Eventbrite. But for that, I would need you have to send it to me via Cashapp, and you have to send me your email so I can send you the link when it's produced. The good part is you avoid the Eventbrite fees. In addition to that, you'll get a copy of another lecture, something unreleased from Jeannie that most people don't have. And the reason I want to do that, or really I need to do that, is so that I can upgrade the StreamYard to in essence, the highest level, so that Jenny can speak freely and not have to worry about it streaming it through anyone's social media. So StreamYard has a tier where you send it to them, they beam it out, like we did the convention. Right, that was sent out to everybody. We didn't have to worry about it being cut off by YouTube or whoever. You know what I'm saying? And we were able to just do that like that. So StreamYard has a tier like that. So we're just going to up to that tier for that event to avoid censorship, because what he's going to talk about is stuff that's sensitive and will be censored pretty much anywhere. Y'all know how it is. So that again in probably an hour and a half. So just think about that, and depending on what happens Sunday, I'll let you all know how that goes. Now, so apparently just music is just not going to be a thing tonight. Not really sure what that's about. I suspect I know what it's about, but I'm not sure. So, is that everything? I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's everything. So last week, I can't even remember. I know this for a while, for seemingly a long while, I have been promising you all to get into black female mating criteria. And the first thing I want to say with this is, what we're going to talk about tonight is the difference between who women choose to reproduce with and who they choose to have a relationship with, who they say they want, and who they end up with. Because these things are often contradictory, which causes a lot of confusion in the black male community and the male community in general. And men have started to talk about, it's not they had just noticed, but started to talk about this dichotomy. So we're going to delve into what is the root of what we're looking at. It's one thing to just, it's one thing to say, to point it out and say, this is a problem, and get emotional. Because let's be honest, if there is one thing that men get emotional about, that men claim not to get emotional about, but you hear it all the time on these blogs. I mean, these these podcasts. So we know men get emotional about them, right? If men didn't get emotional about this stuff, everybody wouldn't want to be Kevin Samuels, right? Like Kevin Samuels wouldn't have. This is crazy. He died and gave birth to literally 1,000 imitators, like literally, right? Because he hit on something, but he hit on it on a surface level. Other brothers have delved into it on a much deeper level. I'm going to go mid-tier. I'm not going to go deep into it, because it would push the YouTube boundaries. One, and two, like some information kind of really isn't for public consumption because, for the most part, like men, it's some stuff that you shouldn't teach people. You know what I'm saying? Like some stuff you shouldn't teach people unless they're ready for it, right? Because you give men certain tools, they saw it causing destruction. Yes, it is what it is. So, all right, what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to pick a song again, and I really don't, and see if we can get our music a little. I'm almost scared to move away from this song because I wasn't expecting anything to come up. Okay. There we go. All right. Here we go. That's it. This is what we're going with tonight. All right. Cool. All right. So let's get into the first slide. All right. So y'all know how we normally do, or we're supposed to do. We're going to go with our straight black pride pledge. If you're familiar with it, you can say it along with me. And if you're not, you can read along with me while I take the banner off so everyone can see. It says, I pledge allegiance to my straight black and proud ancestors and to the culture and traditions which they founded. I vow to practice those traditions of straight black love, family building, and nation building to the best of my ability, using all my life's energy, intelligence, and creativity. Power to protect black men, black women, and especially black children from sexual abuse, homosexuality, exploitation, and miseducation, as long as mentally, physically, and spiritually able. Lastly, I vow to fight against any force, physical foe, ideology, or philosophy which threatens the straight black and proud culture, regardless of origins. This I pledge in the name of my African ancestors and the divine creator. Ashe. All right. Now, we always start with this because this is the goal. The true importance of marriage. In traditional African and African American culture, marriage was an expected part of adulthood. In many African societies, you were not considered an adult if you were not married. The family was considered the foundational institution of the society. There was no debate about the equality of men and women, as each had their jobs to do for the society. Right? And I keep reiterating. All right. You have my apologies, brothers and sisters. That was infuriating. So my bad. Where was I? Y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me. Give me a one. My had to reboot the old router, which yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, there is no debate about the equality of men and women as each had their jobs to do. And the reason I reiterate this multiple times, and brother, you got ripped off. Don't let me forget to edit that part out. The reason I reiterate this so many times is because in today's environment, we get confused Um, and you know, when I would hear people say this, that like women are like competing with men and things like that, I didn't see it or understand it, um, because it wasn't part of my interaction with women. But the best place to see it is really in the corporate world, and you get to kind of see how some women move, and you have these weird interactions with them. You're trying to figure out what's going on, you know, and then you can see the competition. And then a lot of times what I do is I'll talk to them and get a feel for them, what's going on in their personal life and stuff like that. Then a lot of stuff gets revealed. One thing about me is that I've never had an issue talking with women and getting a woman to open up. You know what I'm saying? It's just women find themselves comfortable around me enough to just open up and just talk about things for real. That they probably there's no problem. That many times they won't talk to other people. I've had discussions with sisters where they won't even tell their man stuff, and I'm like, you can really help your relationship by telling him this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, yeah, you telling me is cool, but he needs to hear this more than I need to hear this in reality, right? So, so I begin to see what brothers were talking about, because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times there were a lot of things I would hear brothers say, and I would really just dismiss them out of hand, because I'm just like, I would be honest, I would really be like, fam, it's probably you, like, you know. But no, brothers have some legitimate complaints about sisters, just like sisters had and have legitimate complaints about brothers. It is what it is, right? So anyway, during enslavement, black men and black women will often escape and try to find their spouses and children, risking life and limb. Black people would buy their loved ones with money that they saved up from working quote unquote overtime. This is during slavery. Do extra work. Now you're already working literally from sun to sun up to sundown. But people that were skilled craftsmen and carpenters and things like that would go work for other people, right? And get extra money and go be loaned out by their master quote unquote, and make extra money, and would take that money, buy their freedom, then try to find the spouse or their children and buy their freedom. That is a aspect of our story and history that isn't told a lot for whatever reason. And even though it's been 100 years, it's still relevant, you know, because it shows the bonds that we had, which were virtually unbreakable. And it's something that we need to keep in mind as we deal with each other and understand the root of the problems that we have. We may have had some problems, but we didn't have these problems on the continent, or these problems even for the limited communities that were in the Western Hemisphere. We didn't have these problems between men and women before our interactions with Europeans. It's just an actual fact, right? Now, all right, so let's get on to it. Right? Let's get on to the part where we start hitting the controversy. Simple question. Why is who black women choose to reproduce with important? In other words, why who I'm laid up with any of your business, right? That's what sisters say, right? Listen. Women are the portals through which all people come to this earthly plane. Not trans men, trans women, this, that, and the third, so forth and so on. Women, biological women. Those are the people through which we all come. If you're on this planet, unless you are, I can't remember the comedian's name, Robin, what was his name? Robin Harris. Unless you are a test tube baby, or you were literally born in a pod in the Matrix, you came on the planet through a woman. So that's why it's point number one. That's why it's important who they reproduce with, right? And black women are that vessel for black people. It's just, it is what it is. This idea, this ridiculous concept that, and I've heard Kevin Samuels espouse this, and apparently other Negroes, they took it, they're going to take it and run with it. They're going to run to the wrong end zone, get a safety, thinking they get a touchdown. This belief that you can produce black people without the black woman is false. It is a fallacy. It's not even mythology. It's just incorrect. It is fundamentally wrong. It is a lie. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make it as clear as possible, right? So therefore, no black women, no black nation, right? Now you're gonna say, what about the black man? Well, of course, no black man, no black nation. That goes without saying. So in other words, we need each other to produce more of ourselves. Point blank, period. Okay? Now, this is something I've said for years, right? Because we're talking about why is it important who black women reproduce with. Character is passed down genetically. Now, somebody's going to want to argue, and I'm going to point. Who am I going to point to say this is a fact? I'm going to point to Yoruba. We've been waiting for Yoruba to change for 6,000 years, and they have not changed. So therefore, that is my number one person I'm bringing to the witness stand. My number one example, Exhibit A, Yoruba. Right? Exhibit B, I'm going to bring many black mothers to the stand, because what do they tell us? What do women say? You, her son, when she gets mad, you are just like who? Your daddy. Right? She ain't saying you are acting like the preacher, the guy in the grocery store, or any of those other things. They say you are just like your daddy. So therefore, based on those two examples, I submit that character is passed down genetically. That's why you have some families where you have rampant drug abuse. We had drug abuse that you had two parents that's on drugs, and sometimes they'll pass it on. They have another child that's on drugs, and then there's another child that looks at all this madness and is like, the one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not even going to walk near drugs because the devastation is done to the rest of my family, right? So yeah, you can avert certain things, but certain things are just passed on genetically and they affect your character. A propensity to do certain activities or have a weakness to certain things is passed on. Some men who enjoy many women have sons that enjoy many women. He's the man that he doesn't even understand why. Because he may not even know his father like that because he enjoys many women. And then he gets to know his father, talk to him, gets to see him, and he's like, okay. Yeah, I'm more like this dude who I never met until I was an adult than I thought I could be. That's crazy. So that's why the woman's mate selection is important. What do you say, brother? You got ripped off. You said I need to redo Too much wife, not enough wives. You know what I'm gonna end up doing? You're probably right. What I end up doing, probably doing that in a format like this. Also, part of this, or at least part of the subject matter that's going to come up, and this will be put into Dr. Welsing's lecture with more, go a little further in depth in it. All right. So before I move forward, do I have anyone that disagrees with what's been stated thus far? Speak now, or forever hold your peace. Plus, we will. Yeah, y'all know. 3/4 of the way into it, we'll open up for any comments or discussion. Now, it says in modern Western society, which is where we are, women control which men are allowed to reproduce and which men aren't. Again, this may be controversial, but this is the reality of the situation. The only time this isn't true is some type of violation takes place. Don't know what I mean. I got to use euphemisms here because I am trying to get this monetized. Or the woman's in some type of secluded cultural religious construct, like some type of, like the Amish or something like that. I'm just using that as an example because that's the first thing I think of. But other than that, women control not only who is allowed to reproduce, but who comes on the planet, right? Because, and I said this last time, women on a subconscious and biological level put men in one of 3 categories upon seeing them, usually before the man even notices the woman. You already place it in one of 3 categories. And there are multiple reasons to that. I talked about some of them last time. And we'll deal with an exoteric and esoteric reasoning behind this, right? So we get to that towards the end. Now, as such, this places a great responsibility on women to choose carefully who she reproduces with. Every central interaction includes the possibility of reproduction. Hey, yeah, sometimes we forget. This is how people are made. So, doing things that are the way people are made, you kind of need to pay attention to who you're doing it with. And I don't know why I didn't, but I should have said at the beginning of this, this discussion is going to kind of be PG-13. I'm trying to keep it clean to a degree. But we are going to talk about some things that if you got your children around, you might want to put your headphones in or, whatever the case may be. Now, it's weird that in the 21st century that we still have women who act surprised that they're pregnant by dudes that they were intimate with, right? I don't know what that's about. I don't know what they're teaching. They're not teaching this stuff in high school anymore. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Parents aren't talking to people. I know women just pretending to be surprised. I don't know what's happening. But let us just remember, this is how people are made. So if you're doing activity to make people without any type of precaution, you can't be surprised when little people show up. That's all I'm saying, right? Now, the hidden aspect of the discord between black men and black women is the perception that many men have that black women choose quote unquote Pookie and Ray Ray. Now, I'm sure y'all heard this terminology before. If you haven't heard this terminology before, Pookie and Ray Ray would be like the street dude, the drug dealer, pimp, gangster, hustler, the not the most upstanding of gentlemen in the community. And then, the men claim that the women choose these gentlemen first. And then they want the quote unquote good men. Because again, this is in quotes, right? Because good men is subjective, right? To clean up the other guy's mess. Now, this is what the men say. Is there some truth to that statement? Yeah. I mean, you can kind of look. Actually, the women are the one to give it away, because the women are the first one to tell you who their baby daddy is and ain't. Right? So the women are the ones that spilled the beans. It ain't like he ain't this, that, and the third, and so forth and so on, and he got locked up, and he beat her up and this and that, and all types of wild stuff. Y'all heard all these stories. So we don't go on your word. We ain't gonna challenge it. Although we know there are three sides to every story. His, hers, and the truth. But based upon what the women say, this is what the men react to, and this is a secret underlying reason for why black men and black women don't get along, because many black men feel like good, upstanding, quality men are passed over in the initial dating phase. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to get deeper into that later on, right? Now, I said I would deal with the exoteric and the esoteric, right? And this is actually moving along quicker than I thought, so this should be quick. The esoteric reasoning or determinants of what black women find attractive, among other things, are the things that we always hear about. Social status, aka money, wealth, height, charisma, most of the things that men talk about as far as women, and women talk about to a degree. Right? These are like the publicly acknowledged, acceptable things for women to talk about and say, oh yes, I'm attracted to this, right? But there are other things they're attracted to on a primal level. And Summer Renaissance says, I have to disagree with the Pookie Ray Ray statement. You explained Bad Boys are bums that never learn. Wait, okay, hold up. Say that again. You say, I explained Bad Boys. They are bumps that never learn. Throw out a video game being weird. Okay, but I would just be honest. I didn't say that I think that those are the only men that are reproducing. I'm saying that that's the men's perception. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's actuality, it's the men's perception. Because you go on any what they call this, you go in any red pill space, or black red pill space, whatever that is called, just for black people. I don't know. I guess they got a separate name. Whatever. This is the narrative. Doesn't matter if that's the narrative is true. It's the narrative, because again, it's not about who gets married. It's not about who's dating. It's about who's reproducing. See, that's what it gets down to. Excuse my language, but it's about who's hitting raw. All right, that's what it's about. That's what the men are really talking about, because that is what changes the whole dynamic of a woman. Our wonderful producer has decided to join us. Further to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashford. So that's what we're dealing with, the reality of, right? Which is why I said, in order for us to get really into this discussion, you're gonna have to skirt some YouTube boundaries, but this is only setting up for more profound discussions that I hope to have in at some live events, right? So all these things do matter, right? These things: social status, wealth, height, charisma, and other things that women talk about all the time. You thought I said it's PG-13? Hey man, PG-13. Every now they throw. You ever seen PG-13 movie? At least from when I was young, they throw something in there. You were like, whoa, what? I don't know about that. But while these things do matter, this is surface level that they'll nearly sway, have nearly as much sway over a woman that many think they do, with the exception of charisma. Here's what I mean. Many times dudes think because they go to school and they have their degrees, they got the car and the house, they might have a corporate job, they dress fly, you know what I'm saying, suited and booted, all that will attract women, and it will. But it won't necessarily keep your woman or keep your woman out the bedroom of another man, right? Because one thing that brothers have to understand, if you're in a relationship, especially if your woman is attractive, you have to match your woman every day. I'm going to say it again. You, as a man who's in a relationship, especially if your woman is attractive, unless you don't let her out the house, you have to match your woman every day. Why? Because every time she goes to the grocery store, every time she goes to get gas, every time she goes to the gym, etc., some other man is trying to match your woman. And it's something I'm gonna get to in this next slide that's going to really tell you why you have to do what I'm saying you have to do, right? Brother Asafo said facts. So now, another determinant is, as far as what black women publicly say they find attractive, because there is a dichotomy here. Before their sister Vanessa, it's the media. Media is we know affects the subconscious mind of our people in general, not just women, but our people, right? So I mean that I'm not saying anything profound, like we all aware of that. So the media for women tends to play into these, basically into fantasy. I don't watch enough of this stuff to know what's really going on now. So I can't really one thing the media does, even in the black community, is it'll give archetypes, of men that women find universally attractive, right? So as long as I can remember, like literally probably since I was a teenager or something, Denzel Washington has been universally lauded by women, even white women, because he used to come on Oprah Winfrey, as being attractive, right? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? As I said before, I don't judge men because I don't have a womb. So, but I do know that as long as I can remember, Denzel Washington has been lauded as universally attractive. In the modern context, I think that person would be Idris Elba. I've never heard a woman say she doesn't find Idris Elba at least moderately attractive. I've never heard anybody say, I don't like him. Right? I've heard some women somewhere talk about virtually every guy that's supposed to be like that they don't like. You know what I'm saying? So there's very few universally I mean, it's very few universally attractive people. But even for the most desired men or desirable men amongst women, right? There is a percentage of women who are not going to fail that dude. I think I talked about that before. So, and I've seen this in events. I've seen in events where a brother will come in, every woman will turn and look just about, and there'll be like one or two that won't even move, and you can see the women checking them out like, right? Like you can see it. You like, oh, okay, I see it, and you can just see their interactions. You can see their body language and things like that, and you can see who's really feeling them. Now I'm gonna tell you something crazy, but it is what it is. I have been places where I know two people are together because I've seen them come in together and see how they interact, right? And I've seen a woman more than once, like be at a dinner table, look past her, whatever it is, husband, boyfriend, whatever it is, to a dude that's walking past. It's just, he also in the same establishment. And the look on her face is like, it's, he can, as I said last week, the look on her face is he can get it. Right? I've seen it. Hey, being completely honest, I've been that guy with somebody's girl is looking without him noticing, and I'm like, am I tripping? So, yeah, brothers, women do that. It is what it is. That doesn't necessarily mean they would do anything, but it does mean that person is on their radar, and there's generally a reason that that woman has that reaction, and we'll get to that. All right, so, and then there's cultural dynamics, which naturally will play a big part in what people find attractive, men and women, right? And this, of course, according to ethnicity and cultural group, because this society is so homogenized, that has become blurred, and literally, from the men's perspective, what is considered most attractive women amongst men kind of universally is like a hybridized, racially ambiguous type of thing happening. You say, don't brothers do the same thing? Yeah, well, brothers just obvious. Women not as obvious. brothers can't control their neck at all. They just are, you know what I'm saying? Women are much more subtle. So the cultural dynamics here are different because of the homogenization of the society. So because I'm not a woman, what women find, the cultural dynamics of it, is something I can't actually really speak, because we're in a time now where more black women than I've ever encountered find non-black men attractive. And I'm not sure if that's a physical thing or if it's something else. But it's not, I think it's the effects of media and different things. I don't think it's a change in biological imperative. Now, for some men, sure, like a handful of men that may be famous or whatever, like, and don't ask me who these people are because I don't know. But overall, I think what's happening is that yeah, sister, I know y'all gonna look, so it don't matter. Yeah, you can look because I know you're gonna look. I ain't worried about it. I'm just putting the brothers on. I'm just letting them know. I know a woman gonna look. Hey, look, we're trying to keep this PG. Don't get me started. So yeah, so that dynamic, the cultural dynamic, and the changing, the shifting, is something I can't I would have to like really get to a group of divestors and really talk to them, which I don't have a lot of interest in doing. So anyway, right. Now, the esoteric, the hidden determinants, right? Number one, for whatever reason, we don't talk about this that much, but a woman's relationship with her father, or if a woman has a positive relationship with her father, her father will be the beginning template of the type of man that she will desire, and like, I want this type of person in my life. And it can then go into, as Dr. Wilson would say, what she finds. All right, my apologies again. All right, let me get this up and let me be quick about it. You can hear me, brother? All right, cool. Thank you, sister. I'm back. Apologies. Get back to where I was. I may have to do this one again. Where was I? Okay. Okay. Right. This is where I was, right? Dealing with a woman and her father. If those interactions are positive, that man, her father, will be looked at as a template. Part of that will go down to a brain computer, and she'll keep part of it, right? As I want this type of man in my life. This is why it is important for you fathers out there to be involved in your daughter's life. It's really imperative. Like, when I was growing up, there was always this discussion about the importance of a father to a son, the importance of a father to a son. The boys in the community don't have fathers, and that's why they're doing this and that and the third and so forth, so on. And it was talked about so much that people seem to have forgotten, what about the daughters? Right? And then when you start seeing certain things, then people are like, oh, maybe the lack of fathers is affecting the daughters too. And like, yeah, of course. But it was a kind of overlooked thing back in the day. So, secondly, that most people do know about, but we don't talk about them. A woman's early interactions with men, right? We got to be honest about what goes on in our community. A lot of women's early interactions with men, unless they have an intact family structure and they have brothers and uncles and things that they have positive interaction with, a lot of black women's early interactions with men are not positive. A lot of the reason a lot of women don't feel safe is because a lot of the men in our community are predatory towards young girls. Right? Robert Kelly's not an anomaly. He's only an anomaly in his wealth and status as a predator. You got a lot of Robert Kellys running around. They just not as well known, and don't get caught, right? But that takes place, and that's an aspect of part of the situation, why black men and black women can't get along, because a lot of black women don't feel safe around black men based upon their interaction with black men when they're little girls. Whether it's inappropriate looks, inappropriate touching, something that goes beyond that. And that's something that you're a man and you're dating a sister and you really want to get to know her. That's something you gotta ask. That's something you gotta put on the table. But it's a way to do it, because if you just throw that out there, she's gonna recoil from that, right? But it's so, and we talk about this, we've talked about this for years as BPM. It's something that's so prominent in our community that if you get to know a sister, you really have to listen. Sometimes once you get to a certain level of understanding, you can kind of tell by a woman's reaction to men if something has happened, right? Like, you can kind of tell that a woman will gravitate towards men that are protective. They just have that energy, and women will gravitate towards that person and recoil away from other men. And if you just a man and you observing, it's good to observe that, because sometimes a woman won't, without even knowing it, it's just her body language, it's her subconscious mind. A woman will tell you if somebody in your midst is a predator by her reaction to it. And then a lot of times if you ask, they'll be like, oh yeah, he kind of creepy. Right? That's just the main word. Now that doesn't mean that women are right all the time, but a lot of times women they're picking up on something subtle from the man that's familiar in a negative way, and they're reacting to that. And if you observe, you can see, like, yo, what's going on? That's what's going on, right? Now, this is supposed to say when. I guess I was typing too fast. When a woman is imprinted, okay. Well, you got Rizal says, at this point, you think all male entertainers are degenerates. I won't say all, because there's always exceptions to every rule, but many of them are. Really, the more prominent you are, the more likely you are to be engaged in some type of degenerate activity. So now, okay, I just totally mistyped it. Let me go back and see what this is supposed to say. Who a woman is imprinted by. Okay, right. Who a woman is imprinted by sexually or have a large factor in this determination of who she finds attractive. This factor is called by some esoteric spiritual scholars womb imprinting. All right. This is something that not a lot of people know about, and thus not a lot of people talk about. The reason that it isn't taught, and I'll tell you how deep it is, right? There's a book that goes in depth into this, that deals with the woman, and there's another book that the same author wrote that deals with the man. The combined price of these two books is $6,000. These books were not written like 150 years ago. The books were written, I think one of them was written like 15 years ago, and one of them was written 8 years ago. So that is the root of what we're getting ready to get into. I've heard this science from part of it from other people with using different terminology than I'm gonna use tonight, right? So over time, from different brothers, I've gotten different stuff piecemeal. Now, what is the womb imprint? A woman's womb imprint is determined by, now I've heard some brothers say, the first man, which most brothers disagree with, the first 2 men, first 3 men, or the first 4 men that she interacts with sexually, right? These men leave an imprint on her subconscious mind, and her body will change accordingly to adapt to that kind of man. If a woman has positive interaction with men, it can have a positive effect on her relationships with men for the rest of her life. The opposite is also true. So what am I saying? This is what I'm saying. And this isn't something that Western, quote unquote, science really talks about. I went and looked at some different studies, and they're starting to talk about it more, but this is something that is known or more Eastern. It's more of like an Eastern philosophy thing, right? But if you look at a lot of Eastern societies, traditional societies, they do the mate selection for the woman. Why is that? Because those interactions can set up a woman for success or failure for the rest of her life, right? If the woman's first interaction is traumatic or unsatisfactory, which is often, the first one is often just unsatisfactory, because many times it's 2 people that don't know what they're doing. Okay, let's just be honest. Or the first interaction is predatory. It sets women up to, and this is something that's not even conscious. It sets them up to subconsciously seek out that type of man continuously. That's why you see women who have the same relationship experience, because they're dating the same man in a different body, but similar bodies over and over. And then we say that's that woman's type. But where does the type come from? The type comes from the imprinting, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. Years ago, I was dealing with this sister or whatever. We've been together for a minute, and I knew about a dude that she had dealt with before me. And then we were going somewhere, and some dude, came up, spoke to her, this and that, and she go, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. They talked for a minute, and I was like, "Who was that?" Oh, she's like, "Oh yeah, I used to date him." Blah blah blah, that type of thing. And then it dawned on me, right? Because I had two other people to compare to. I was like, oh, no wonder she hollered at me first. Because if you compare, if you put the three of us, you could take the three of us and put us in a police lineup. You know how they do a police lineup and they try to get similar looking people? Like we were similar height, similar build. I think I talked to her. We even had similar jobs, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was her type. And the way she reacted to me when we first met, I knew that, but I didn't realize how much of a thing it was until I saw these two other dudes and realized, like, oh, okay. Like, we didn't look alike facially, but complexion and height and build and all that stuff, we were a lot alike. So I was like, okay, yeah, she has a type. Like, seriously. You know, basically, anybody that look like me, I gotta look around it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure of a foot. So with that, I just use that as an example that this is a real thing. So if any sisters that doubt this, I just tell you this: take old school pen and pad and write down the physical and the psychological attributes of the first couple of men you've been with, and then write down the physical and psychological attributes that you tend to be attracted to, and be real with yourself. And then you tell me whether that's the case, right? So now, oh yeah, now basically I think I covered this. Many women find themselves attracted to the same type of men continuously, because they were imprinted by lesser men. They tend to fall in lust with those same type of men. There's something that's happening on a subconscious level. Lastly, let's see. Says a woman will be aroused sexually around her imprint. It is a biological react. Sometimes she won't notice. Being in a room of people, being a fly on the wall, especially like at events, like Black Love events, you can learn a lot just by observing, right? Because body language gives away a lot of things. And even the most coy person, even a woman that is very conservative, sometimes you can catch her reacting to somebody with her even realizing it, right? Like she kind of lean towards a person, or kind of eye a person, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? And you can see her reacting the way you're just like, huh? Oh, okay, that's what you like. You know what I'm saying? They won't even notice if you brought it up. They're like, what you talking about? Like, I ain't talking about nothing. So that's the very rudimentary understanding of womb imprinting. How many people have heard this or are familiar with this concept? Y'all let me know in the chat. And the brother says that spiritual energy exchange leaves a man's DNA. Yeah, indeed. Even if here's what's deep. Even if you are using quote unquote protection, we don't really realize that, you know, all you gotta do is watch like forensic files and do crime shows and whatever. You leave your DNA everywhere. So if you're in an intimate act, of course you leave your DNA all over each other. And, you know, women tend to collect that DNA and make it part of themselves, as opposed to shedding it like I guess many of us assume. So Um, I think I only got 2 more slides. I think. Right. Now, and I think I said this. A woman's imprints likely determine her type for the rest of her life. This is why many African and indigenous cultures believed in arranged marriages. The woman wanted the woman's experience to be pleasant, and many couples were put together with each other because they showed affinity towards each other from the time that they were extremely young. I saw a video a couple of days ago where a little boy, I mean, these little babies had to be like 3, 4 years old, something like that. And the little girl, she was getting dropped off at the daycare, and she had her little book bag or something with her. And he grabbed her hand and he picked up the book bag and he brought that, it was like a book. Well, no, it wasn't a book bag. It was like she had a little luggage, like the roll-on luggage. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The luggage people be pulling behind, not paying attention, tripping you all up and whatnot, escalators. Anyway, so yeah, she had something like that, and he grabbed it and took that, grabbed her hand and like welcomed her into the daycare, like he had been waiting for, right? So, and our cultures back in the day, we would see that, like, okay, these two people have an affinity for each other, and you just mark the progress and see if that continues. And many times those people be married for the rest of their lives because that affinity that they have for each other takes root, literally when they're children. Now, why it's nearly impossible to break a woman's imprint. A man, if he is skilled enough in the bedroom, and also if he can touch a woman psychologically and spiritually, he can rewrite her imprint. Now, this is extremely difficult. Okay? Like, that's why I said nearly impossible. But it's the equivalent of rewriting information on a computer hard drive. Because the imprint, the reason it's called an imprint is because it's stamped permanently on the woman. So basically, you would have to be an outstanding man whose extreme is what she's already predetermined to be attracted to. Now, many men have decided to just try to bypass that and try to find a woman who's still in the initial stages and try to imprint themselves on that woman who's in the initial stages. If you're past a certain age, that's not going to happen unless you're going to deal with some woman that's just extremely young and probably not from this country. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things why it's important to know your woman is because really get to know her, to talk to her about her interactions, and you can see what you're dealing with. It's why for many times in my life I didn't really pursue women. I wait for them to give me choosing signals. They give me choosing signals, then I'll take it from there, right? Because generally speaking, if she's choosing you, it's generally because in some way you're in relation to her imprint, or you're just lucky enough to be to meet her where it's really still forming and there's something else intriguing about you that she likes, right? Like I said, you're over 25, that's gonna be rare. It is what it is. And let me bring up this last part. It says many Black women are imprinted negatively because of a high percentage of abuse in our communities. This violation has a devastating effect on women psychologically, spiritually, and also affects who they choose to be with. Um, One of the things that happens psychologically is that sisters will feel like they must have did something for that to happen, and then they will feel like they're not worthy of a good man. Therefore, when a quote unquote good man comes to them, they won't be receptive. It is not really that he doesn't fit within. Well, no, it is. It's because in a very negative way, he doesn't fit within the paradigm of that imprint. Right? Now, it sounds messed up, but it's the reality of what happens. So sometimes if you meet a sister and she reveals that information to you, that's something that if you choose to deal with her and she lets you know that she is a survivor, if you choose to deal with her long term, it's best that she gets some type of counseling for that and deals with that and the emotions and the ramifications of it, so that she can have a healthy relationship going forward. Because you see that affecting sisters in ways that they don't even think about, and you just see certain behaviors. And like I said, if you like me, you study this stuff for a long time, sometimes you can see it. The bad part about our community now, and it's just not just our community, it's just in general in America, the behaviors that were often a symptom of a woman being violated, loose sexual behavior, a lot of tattoos and other types of things, a lot of piercings and a lot of this weird hair color and all this other stuff, and drug use and all these things. Now, those things have become acceptable female behavior. So it becomes more difficult for a man to determine, is this woman, has this woman survived something, or is she just going with the flow with what other women are doing? Like, so it becomes very hard to delineate between these two things, because that has become the for younger women, the norm. Right, brother? Right. The sexy red look. Yeah, you're right. She's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So, and that's dangerous, because if we normalize the look that comes from the violation, we have subconsciously normalized the violation, which I believe is why people like sexy red are put out in front of us like that, right? So that we can normalize the worst behaviors, the worst thing you can do to a woman. In reality, and I don't know who was I was talking to a sister about this. I don't remember who, but the worst thing you can do to a woman, really, is to violate her in that manner. The worst thing you can do to a child, right? Because it is a death. It's a spiritual death of the person, violation. And most people, no one's ever the same after that. You can come back from it. You can survive it. You can put yourself back together, but you're never the same. It's like that Japanese art where they take pottery or something that's broken and they use gold to put it back together, so you can see what it was and what it is now. It's a new thing, right? It's put back together, but it's a new thing. It's not the thing that it was before. It was taken apart, right? So that's why I wanted to just get into a rudimentary understanding of womb imprinting, because it's so much the underpinning of the determining factor of who women choose, and thus that affects how men feel about women. But because we don't often, even in a closed door forum, and we talk about a lot of stuff, but really not really because of the women. Not nowadays. The women to tell you anything now, they go online and tell you all types of wild stuff that I can't repeat. You know what I'm saying? But because the men are squeamish about women's sexual nature, the men don't like to hear this stuff, right? So we don't often talk about sex, which means we're not talking about womb imprinting, which means we're not talking about the fact that most women's first interaction with men is negative. We're not talking about the fact that many women are not being satisfied sexually in their relationships. And that many women will take and they'll be in a relationship with a man that they don't find sexually desirable. But they find him desirable in other ways. But then they'll be cheating with the pool boy. So you'll find a situation like it was a white businessman. I can't remember what he did. Was he a rich guy, been successful his whole life, built up this wonderful life, and he had his wife and his house and cars and his business, and he thought he had children. And come to find out, none of the children were his, because his wife had been out, as we used to say back in the day, getting it in with other folks. And this sexual dynamic is part of the root of the paternity fraud that I often talk about. You see what I'm saying? So as men, especially in this day and time, just because a sister is quote unquote conscious doesn't mean that she's not a sexual being. Like, we gotta, we gotta get out of that thought, because I know some brothers do have that. And let me just be honest. Taking the time to make sure your woman is satisfied is vitally important. I just say it like that. But no brothers that, you got to work and you're doing race work and you're organizing and trying to help people and you do X, Y, Z and ABC and so forth. So, but you also got to satisfy your wife. And, paying the bills and taking out the trash is cool. But, so you also got to make sure that plumbing is taken care of, if you know what I mean. What do you say, brother? You said you find odd is broken men can help heal broken women, but broken women can't heal broken men. Broken men healing broken women. I don't know about that. You had to give me some examples on that. Now, y'all mighty quiet. Nobody disagrees, or y'all done tuned me out. All right, so here we go. Ugly truths that aren't spoken. And I think this is the next to last one. Yeah, I already said this. Yeah, many women's first intimate interactions are not pleasurable. Many times they're awkward, uncomfortable, or just boring. Many young men aren't skilled in that area, and older men are oftentimes just out to use younger women to please themselves. When I wrote this, what I thought about, I don't know if anybody ever saw this. It's a very old movie. It's a movie called Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's a movie from early 80s. I don't know, how old. Early 80s. And there's a scene in the movie where some guy and some girl they're out. I guess they're out on a date and they're hanging out, and then they decide to get intimate. I don't know where they are. I can't remember. And he's doing his business, and she's looking up, like reading the graffiti on the ceiling, right? Because it's whatever he's doing, it ain't making, it's not making nothing. It's not doing nothing for her, right? And he finished his business or whatever, and she's just sitting there like, man, I waited my whole life for this. That was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I could have kept my pants on or my skirt down or whatever she was wearing. Now, I just always remembered that. So, when I wrote this, it made me think of that scene in that movie. Cindy says the diddler stole many genders and essence, many genders and ages of essence. Yeah. But he's not the only one. We talked about him enough. I don't even want to talk about him. But yeah, he's one of many. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on some other people. Says, many women are sexually attracted to men that they know aren't relationship material. This leaves women with the dilemma, and I forgot how to spell dilemma, so y'all forgive me. I know that ain't how you spell it. I just couldn't remember how to spell it, and I forgot to look it up. So whatever. Of choosing between a man who is suitable for a relationship and a man that they're attracted to on a primal level. And this is where a lot of women's because women are attracted to one man for one reason and another man for another reason. And if a woman doesn't understand her imprint and understand how her prime interactions with men affect her choices, she'll find herself in that type of situation where she's with a man that she's not primarily attracted to, but he's a good man. But yet, whenever the not so good man comes around, she can't keep her eyes off him, and can barely keep her hands to herself, right? Intrinsically related. And women can pick up on this. You know what I'm saying? So women will literally be like, why, what you say, brother? Mike, what? Is Mike not working? You let me know. You said I cut out? Oh, okay. What? All right. What's the last thing you heard then? Because I didn't notice that I cut out. But anyway, what I was saying is that that what happens is women choose men that they have a relationship with, but the men that they want on a primal level, they those men that come around can cause a problem. And because if the woman's not aware of her imprint and aware of what has that effect on her, you can lean into some dangerous situations without knowing it. Or you find yourself gravitating towards a man and you don't know why. You gotta take a step back and be like, all right, what is it about this dude, right? Because again, what we talk about when we're dealing with sacred energy exchange. We're talking about something on a primal biological level that it can be controlled, but it will. It's like a gravitational pull. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I remember, it was funny too. Like, I remember years ago, right, when I was in my prime. I mean, it must have just been one of those days. So anyway, I walk in the store. Actually, carry out. Well, carry out is a Chinese restaurant. That's what we call it in DC. But a Chinese restaurant that serves American food and Chinese food. We call it carry out. Because you walk in and you carry it out. They don't have no seats and there ain't no sitting down. Get your food, leave. I'm not even. Oh man, yeah. I'm just laughing at what Summer Renaissance put in. I ain't even gonna put it up. I'm just going. She just made me laugh. She's just saying that the cat has a mind of its own. It knows what it wants. That's what she said, right? I hate that I have to edit this because I think when I edit this, the what's the name's is gonna disappear. So, but I may have an edited version and keep this version up. You say put it on the screen and don't read it. All right, I just put it on the screen. I am put it on the screen. No comment. All right, there it is. You didn't see it. You had to hit the rewind later. Oh no, I was telling y'all a story. All right, let me tell the story real quick. So anyway, so I walk in the carry out. Right, so I walk in the carry out. Summertime is hot. I'm wearing a white beater and some jeans. That's all I remember. I was wearing a white beater and some jeans. Or either that, or I was wearing an Allen Iverson jersey and some jeans. Either or. But so anyway, like I said, I was at my prime. Shout out to GNC. And so the Asian girl behind the glass, you know, they be all behind bulletproof glass and whatnot, giving you food. But this is one of the places where you can see them cook. That's one of the reasons I went there. Even though, you know, I shouldn't have been eating that stuff. Right, it took 10 years off my life, but whatever. So she looks up. She's relatively young Asian chick. I don't really know. And she looks at me like, oh, brother, she know that look. You know, she looked up like, oh. Now, this is one of the rare times where I paid attention to a non-black woman checking me out. So like, but she was just blatant. It was just obvious, which was weird because you work in the hood and she see black dudes every day. Now maybe she lusts after black dudes because she see them every day. Whatever. So I caught her looking. Then after I make my order and I'm waiting, two sisters come in. Now I don't know what their relationship was, but one was older than me and one was younger than me. Right, that part was obvious. I don't know if they're mother, daughter. I don't think so because they didn't seem to be that far apart in age. Whatever was happening. So I'm waiting for my food, and so the one that's younger than me starts talking to me, right? And so you know, I'm answering, but I'm not really. I think I had a girl at the time, so I'm talking to her, but I'm not giving her no vibe, right? So then her friend's like, girl, leave him alone. He ain't paying you no attention. So I just kind of laughed because it was kind of true, but I wasn't trying to be that obvious. But I failed. And she was like, I would leave him alone, but he making me hot. But then I kind of looked like, I was like, well, that was bold. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a response to that. Because I'm just trying to get my food and leave at this point. Because at that point, I had a 75% mind to test her on that theory. You know what I'm saying? But it was obvious looking back at it that she was reacting on a primal level and just bold about it, as opposed to there was no demure. A lot of women be talking about being demure and stuff now. Well, none of that. We in the hood. So he was like, this dude acts like I'm playing. I'm not playing. And man, later on I told my boy, we laughed about it, and he's like, he just couldn't believe. He's like, man, you didn't get her number. I'm like, come on, fam, you know what it is. He's like, what she look like? I said, yeah, she wasn't bad looking. Like, man, you really? I said, fam, come on, man. I said, nah. I'm good. And, what I have is sufficient. You know what I'm saying? But I tell that story to say that I'm sure most of the brothers on here have had some type of similar interaction in their day, even if your day is today. But again, the women just reacted on a primal level, so you just gotta take it as it comes. You know what I'm saying? Same way some sisters will walk out here when summer hit and sundress season hit, and sometimes sisters just minding their business, but their business is minding everybody on the block. You know what I'm saying? You just like, yo, that is happening right there. Thank God for summer. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing you can do as a bad. You just reacting to biologically to what's going on. But you got Rip off say the old white beater will get some female looks. Real talk. You have an ex who allegedly likes women, but willing to straighten herself up for you. Hey, bro. I don't know why to call the wife beater, but yeah, if you in some type of shape, or you got out of character. All right, so closing thoughts. We discuss subject in the Black community. It's the reason why women say one thing and do another. It is also the reason why some men hate women and why some women hate men. If the Black community is going to heal the gender divide, real and raw discussions. Oh man, you mean I got to redo the closing thoughts? All right, closing thoughts again. As I said previously, sex is the most talked. Why women say one thing and do another. It is also the reason why some men hate women and some women hate men. If the Black community is going to heal the gender divide, real and raw discussions around this topic have to be addressed off the behind closed doors. All right. And I got a quote from Dr. Wilson for the sisters. She says, what must we as Black women do? It is my conviction that the African proverb, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the nation, and its destiny is true. Black women are the mothers and thus the first teachers of Black females and males alike. Black women can determine whether future generations of Black children will be warriors, or if we will continue to be slaves living in a highly refined state of psychological oppression, which is no less a death. the rules of the show. Um, since we haven't had a lot of interaction, I give y'all 15, 20 minutes at the most. Black people, our women are not B's and H's, no 304s. Such language is prohibited. Once is a mistake, twice is banishment. Black people are not N-words. We don't use the word. You can speak with passion, but be respectful. Seek truth and understanding. Speak truth and avoid Zionist stereotypes about the complementary gender. Now I'm going to add towards the end of the program. So anyone has anything that they want to say, that's the link. You can hit the link and give your 2 cents. Those of you all in the chat, let me know, was this worth discussion worth breaching, and did you find any value in it? Y'all let me know. You said I'm getting choppy. Well, I'm getting ready to get off anyway. So hopefully, if anybody wants to like if anybody wants to come on, they can speak and I can listen. So let me say this while I'm waiting, because we already got going once. And let me just say this real quick. Sisters, how come y'all never had nothing to say when we do SBL Talk? I'm asking for myself. Again, Brother Jenny will be on the 12th, and I'll be streaming from a different location so that we have better Wi-Fi. So that's that. All right, brother, you got ripped off. You got something to say? Let me cut the music down, and you can go ahead and say your piece. Yes, sir, brother. Go ahead. BB40.
So to expound on what I was saying about the broken men can heal broken women, but not vice versa. I'm speaking from off my own experiences and that of people I have intimate knowledge of. So in the case of myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Past relationship with an ex. We, as I see it now,
hold up. Are you sure you want this public information? Because you know.
Oh man, that's ex. I had a life before my wife.
Oh, okay. Look, I don't want no man to shoot himself in the foot. Go ahead.
Hey, if we can't have open, honest, constructive conversations, I don't think we're having meaningful conversations. Because experience is the best teacher. So just in again, from my own experience, right? With an ex, as I look at it now, we really trauma bonded because we both grew up in very abusive parental relationships. And as we got older, I knew the type of woman I wanted, right? Even if I use the comment on that I put earlier about having an ex-girlfriend who was also, a lesbian, but wanted to be straight because of me, right? I feel as if because men, and I remember we had this talk before, men instill morals and principles, values, and that is something that's passed on. That's why it's important for, fathers to be in the lives of their children. So inherently, I feel as if a man has the ideal image of the woman that he wants. And when he gets with a sister, of course, he gets with her because of, she has whatever values that it is that he wants, but he wants to also help to get her to what he aspires his woman to be. But I feel as if that does not happen vice versa. So as I'm trauma bonding with someone, I'm also at the same time elevating her to a higher status. Oh, not higher status, but doing my best to elevate her to the ideal woman that I wanted her to be, which in turn she naturally fought against. It would be 20 years later that we would have a conversation and she would tell me, I'm sorry, you were right for all the things that you were trying to teach me, and I just didn't want to listen. Um, I also have the example of the lesbian wanted to be straight, but in my own marriage, I constantly, and my wife has her father in her life, um, but I felt as if some, because she grew up sheltered, and I came from the streets, so of course we both learned a lot from each other from that type of stuff. But her knowledge on how things operated in the outside world, scams, schemes that people would run on you, things like that, were things that she was not well versed in. And coming from the city of New Orleans, you got to be quick on your feet. You got to be quick on your feet. So filling that void for her, while also at the same time getting her to be the woman that I wanted her, that I knew she could be. I should really say, um, while not even focusing on my own traumas, helping myself. And it of course took time. And you see us as the couple that we are now, but it wasn't until my wife rose from out of a lot of her trauma that I then started to heal from my own trauma. And that is the only case that I can say a woman has been there to help heal a broken man, but it was only after I helped to heal her from her traumas first. But again, that's my own experiences. Maybe some brothers might have it differently. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, brother. Hey, salute to you and your wife for providing an example for the community. Yeah, I can't speak to brothers what yeah, I don't know, brother, but I'm glad you had that positive interaction and that you're able to build a solid relationship with your wife. You got anything else for us?
Yeah, I got a question. So,
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, let's go ahead on and keep the PG-13. I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But what do you think is the dynamic? And I wish we had a sister to come on to talk about this. What do you think about the dynamic of women who, well, just to be straightforward, who go out and get pregnant because they couldn't get the man that they wanted? Now, these people have had no interaction, yet it is as if this man has imprinted himself upon her, and because she's scorned by not being able to get with that man, she goes out and gets pregnant by someone else who she doesn't even want to be, have a child with.
You said no interaction.
No interaction, as in a dating or a romantic. Yeah,
that is. Sometimes women, it's weird. Like sometimes women will do something to, quote unquote, get back at a man. That doesn't really make sense. Like that doesn't make sense. Like you not getting back at me because you are altering your life and I'm doing what I'm doing over here. Right? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times in a sister's mind, it's like, okay, well, if he don't want me, I'm gonna get with somebody that want me, and I'm gonna get in essence, the love that I want from him, from this other person, even though that person isn't you. again, that's not a logical thing. That's an emotional thing. That's just that's some psychological stuff that they're dealing with, and some emotional reaction that they're dealing with that not really explainable logically. Sister Summer says she knows many a woman that were jealous of men they never dated and got pregnant by quote unquote Pookie and Ray Ray. So again, she giving testament to what you're talking about. Apparently this is more of a thing than I know. So yeah, that's all I have on that.
That's why we need the females' perspective on this, because
absolutely, no question. No
because
question.
I mean, because the last thing I'm gonna see is what I put in the chat, that I had a brother once tell me that women do not mind if you cheat on them as long as the woman you are cheating on them with is of a higher caliber than herself. And that's something. This is a person who, I mean, I would have to unfortunately say, kind of had a.
Wait a minute. Let's pause right there. This is what I would say. The woman has to be within the range, right? But this is something women don't talk about. If your woman knows you, she gets to know you, and she knows your type, and she's not your type, right? And you cheat with your type, oh no, you got a problem, right? And especially in the Black community, because like a lot of times dudes' types are because we got so many variations of women, a lot of times men's types are like so what they desire the most can be so extreme in the opposite of what they're dealing with that they become so obvious. You see what I'm saying? So forth. And I'm just going to use the most obvious example. Say you have a beautiful dark-skinned sister, but she's a dark-skinned sister that is still trying to be comfortable with her beauty as a dark-skinned woman, right? But your ex, one of these red chicks, and you cheat with that red woman, bruh, please. You're not gonna never hit the end of that. Just because of colorism dynamic of it. I see you, Sister Cindy. I'm gonna get to you in a minute. You can come back. You see what I'm saying? So I just say be careful with that. What he said sounds good, but there's some other dynamics in the Black community that like, hold on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they don't want you now. If your woman's a certain level and you down here dealing with somebody that look like they just crawled out the garbage dumpster, yeah, your woman gonna have a fit. She gonna be like, you cheated with that trash, blah 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 blah. You ain't gonna never hear the end of that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I hear you on that, and I just think of the just learn from the Barudis on polygamy. Not technically, on polygamy being created by African women,
right.
And so it's a lot of people don't know that as a fact, and to me, it speaks to the inherent, I don't know the word I want to use for it, but variety, I would say, that a woman feels she has and that she feels a man has. And so she knows that her time with him, is it's going to reach a peak where she does not need him for whatever reason. She still wants to be married to him, but she feels as if someone else can now provide a different benefit to him, or that same benefit that she is no longer able to provide. And I'm not just talking about sexually, because polygamy is not something that's just sexual. It's financial, it's spiritual, it's all kinds of things. Whatever she fulfilled in him, now she feels as if it's time for him to not go somewhere else, but for somebody else to now come into that relationship to help build that wholeness that a man needs.
Right. And I say this, say that, because we're going to have the polygamy discussion one day. I'm going to get one of these sisters that's supposed to be into polygamy. We get them, one or two of them on it. We're going to have that show. So yeah, say that for that show, brother. Just say that wisdom for that. But what we have right now is really, we have a lot of unregulated polygamy in the Black community, and it's been going on for a long time. Haki Matabuti wrote about it in a book, probably the late 80s. So the problem is it's unregulated and it has no rules in it, so it just causes more confusion. It's why a lot of women claim men are cheating, but they aren't really in any type of solid relationship with the men. They just putting a claim on a man that doesn't feel like he has any obligations to them, and this causes all types of confusion. So, but yeah, we'll have the polygamy discussion. But brother, let me let you go and let me get Sister Cindy on before because it's probably her bedtime. Sister Cindy, you there? Ooh, what happened? If you want to, you can come back in. I don't know what happened. You ready?
Yeah.
Greetings.
Greetings.
You want to introduce yourself to those that don't know who you are?
I am Cindy Ashley, producer extraordinaire.
Are you gonna behave before I let you speak?
I'm behaving. I'm being good.
Okay, I want to make sure you haven't had they ain't got you on no medicine or nothing. And you start talking.
Did I take medicine? No, I'm eating. Look at me. Did I take medicine? I'm eating some ginger. I'm good.
All right. So I didn't want you to start speaking truth that you shouldn't be speaking publicly. But proceed.
Well, no, I was just trying to a lot of times we do the males do this and the females do this and the males do this. And I think a lot of it is just how were people brought up. You listen to a person's childhood, then you should know if you want to date them or not. Oh, you're an orphan? And I know my grandparents and they've been married for a long time. I'm not saying that, the heart wants what the heart wants. But now imagine having a child with that person. And you're like, well, my grandmother and my mom and my dad taught me that, now I have to discipline you. Now this person that you've dated is saying, why are you yelling at our child? And you're like, are you serious? And they're like, I told you I was an orphan. I don't know anything else. And so now they mad at you. So it's an ideology thing. And so my grandmother used to tell me, you can date, but don't ever bring somebody home that has not experienced life like you have. So if you come from a family with loving parents, you cannot pick up the hooker. There is no pretty woman. There is no pretty woman. It's not going to work. I don't know why we keep hitting the same wall. It's the realest advice. You from the streets, we both from the streets, we got this, because that's all we know. But if we come from loving people, we need to be with loving people, period. That's it. That's what black folks been teaching us. That's what the ancestors been teaching us since day one. But for some reason, we want to listen to the what is it, the trans people and these people and the that people and the Bidens and the Clintons and the this and the Democrats and the whatever. We can't do that. They come from a long line of pedophiles and rapists, and why are we listening to them? It's insane. So it'd be so much easier if we didn't follow. Nobody's gonna come and save you but you. You are your biggest leader. You are. Nobody else. The only person gonna save your kids is you until you
Right.
teach them how to save themselves. That's it. And then we wouldn't even have so much. And we used to have like this wholesome type of thing because I look at my how my grandmother was, and everybody think about how your grandmother was. Like literally, you could have a can of spam and some cabbage, and a bag of rice, and a thing of what's that thing called farina, and y'all never thought that y'all were poor, because they knew how to stretch a meal. You could have a bag of potatoes in the house, and today you was gonna have them fried, mashed, boiled, baked. I mean, you didn't know what hunger was with a bag of potatoes. We just be, we could do so much better. We just need to step back a little bit and just remember where we came from, right? Granted, 400 years or 200 and something years, if I really counted 200 and something years, then we might not know who we were because they took us and they shipped us around. And the reason why people are called MFers is because you didn't know that was your mother and they took you and tried to make you mate with the woman and all types of stuff. But even if you can't go back that far, you could go back with what you know, your experiences. And the only way to get better in life, the only way to have a loving relationship, a real relationship, every day is not sunshine on roses, is to understand each other, put ourselves in that person's place. How about we start with our children? I tell people all the time when they're like, these children don't listen. I said, did you when you were young? Why don't you put yourself in the shoe of your child? Stop treating your child like they're your roommate. I'm tired of this. You're tired of who? You made that child. At least it's half of you. Have some compassion. Have some mercy. Have some grace. Stop acting like the cops and the FBI and the CIA and all the alphabet soups in your house. Stop acting like the judge and the jury. And be a parent. But be a parent that goes, I made this kid. Yeah, they hard-headed. They get that from me. Yeah, they got a slick mouth. They get that from their dad. They mad smart though. They get that from their grandmother. And just find the goodness. Just find the goodness. I think that's all it is for Black people. We just need to have some grace with ourselves. Everybody else loves us, loves the way we dress, the way we dance, the way we talk, the way we do anything, and they copy us. I am sure right now there is a Talcum X taking DC notes and has a podcast doing this right now. Taking all your notes and literally, and the people are praising him. Because no one says, okay, well, no, I got this from DC Radical. Everything we do, they love it. They want to be like us. And it sucks. Envy and jealousy will get you killed. Because it does and it has. And they've lynched us like there's no tomorrow. And we just said this, I just had a show I was doing today, interview. And I had the two brothers were there in person. I went to Brooklyn to film at my brother's studio. And they were talking about how the reason why so many people infiltrate is because when the feds come in, they'll say to you, hey, I see you selling drugs. I could put you away for the next 100 years, or you could tell me what's going on in that organization. And those people don't have a choice. And I said, well, they do have a choice. But it doesn't help that billions, not even millions, billions, maybe even trillions of us have been lynched. There's so much more of our family we'll never know, have been lynched and burned and like they were witches. And so it's like the experiment with the rats. They took a bunch of rats, put them in a bag with strawberry, and they beat the hell out of them. And after a while, after this, these mice were scared of strawberries. 3 generations later, their mice, grandchildren, never smelt a strawberry, never been around a strawberry. They put them in a bag with strawberries, and those mice fainted, threw up, was violently ill, because now it's in the DNA. They're scared of strawberries. Their great grandparents were beat to death with strawberries. Now they don't know why they don't like strawberry. I always wonder why we're so lactose intolerant. What could they have done with us and cows? I'm just saying, because black people stay lactose intolerant, if you get what I'm saying. I can't drink no milk without freaking out. God knows. And I'll never know. So I just think sometimes it's, if you don't know your history, then you ain't gonna know where you going, and you ain't gonna understand what's going on. And so it is what it is. But even if you didn't, it starts today. Have some mercy, have some grace on yourself. Be good to yourself, be good to your people. When you get information, the same way you walk into a Starbucks and you buy a coffee, go ahead and give DC Radical a little change for his time. Let's pretend this is Starbucks, if you get what I'm saying. We pay the white man for his coffee, and don't even be his coffee. That coffee from Africa, y'all. And the people in Africa is getting less than 10%. Think twice about going to certain places to eat and drink and spend your time. You show up for an interview on time. The white man, I got a reservation. I gotta be there on time. I had somebody come interview to be an intern. The girl was 2 hours late. She came in, she sat down, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry I'm so late." I said, "No problem." And then I said, "1 second." I went to go answer a phone call for not even 3 minutes. I came back because it was at the studio. It was at the Grammy Award winning studio. Well, maybe she probably smelled, because she smelled the aroma of marijuana in the air. I came back, the lady was licking the blunt and lighting it. I said, "I know if I was white, this wouldn't be right." I said, "Did this woman just roll up and start smoking on this interview?" I don't have nothing in my hands. I didn't give off do you get what I'm saying? Maybe she's looking at my dreadlocks. Maybe she's looking at my locks and thinking. But then I was like, it's just how we behave. Like, what? She would have never done that to the Steinbergs or the Pulaskis. She would have never. And then somebody said, "Why didn't you give her a chance?" And I said, as much as I sit here and I'm telling y'all, have grace and mercy for other people, I said, I should give her a break. I kind of, we talked. And just right when she was about to leave, 45 minutes after she came in, and she's supposed to be at 2:15, it was 5:45 because she got there at 5. She said, "I have to go. I have to cut this short. I have a restaurant reservation at 8:15 at the Italian restaurant." Oh, I was done. Have grace and mercy. Yo, this lady talked herself out of being an intern. I went, "Bruh, she's trying to get there on time. Got to me late. I let it go. But when you tell me to my face that the mobster gets to get you early, okay, that's what's, go ahead." So, anyway, I just came on here to say what's up.
Well, we thank you for your contribution, sister. That's our wonderful producer and founder of On the Wake Up Radio and OTW2.com. That's OTW2.com, which you can find me over there. I have an account over there, and you can pretty much post, as long as it's not like completely over and savage, pretty much post whatever you want. I've actually seen other people actually copy her format that she started. So with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close out because it's getting late, and I'm not gonna chance any more Wi-Fi issues. So I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, we'll be back on DC.radical1. It'll be as soon as I get it. And I'll try to remember to put it on. Y'all know I don't always remember to do. Again, before I go, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on OTWTube at dcradical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. And if you enjoyed the show, you enjoyed the content, you want to support financially, you can hit me up on the Cashapp $DC Radical 1. So with that, I thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing, and I thank everyone who came on tonight to contribute. This is your brother DC Radical 1, and this has been SBL Talk. With that, I say BB4ODA and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. I'll be